Hey, welcome back. Today we are on lesson 17 of A Course in Miracles. This is a pretty quick and easy one, so let's dive right in. Okay, so lesson 17. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me through A Course in Miracles. I'm grateful. I hope you are enjoying it. And please, as always, let me know in the comments below your biggest breakthroughs or how you perceive this, or any thoughts or questions or anything that comes up for you as we go through each lesson. I am by no means master or like an expert of A Course in Miracles, but I really enjoy it and I love bringing it here to share it with people because I just think there's so much power in these gifts and these words and coming back to a place of unconditional love. So with that said, lesson 17 says, I see no neutral things. I see no neutral things. So if you remember on lesson 16, it was I have no neutral thoughts. And this is I see no neutral things. So might sound like the very same thing to you. The distinction that it's trying to make here is about perception. Okay, so this is a step in the direction of identifying cause and effect as it really operates in the world. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. And so that's why lesson 16 was starting with the thoughts themselves. So because our thoughts aren't neutral, right, as we discussed on this video here, because our thoughts aren't neutral, there's duality, there's always like one, it always leans one polarity, right? There's no such thing as just like a neutral thought. There's no such thing as anything that's like neutral in any way. It's all based on our perception, right? So it's really hard to actually measure that. So because that's not possible, then that means we can't see neutral things. So if our thoughts, if it's impossible for our thoughts to be neutral, it's going to be impossible for us to see neutral things. And basically, to me, this is just carrying over with the fact that like we are naturally kind of projecting our thoughts into what we see into the world. We're projecting that into our perception. So one of these things with the practice is understanding the way that you personally think. And what I love about this is like the more you become aware, I talk about awareness all the time on my videos here, the more you become aware, then the more you realize like you are really creating your own reality based on the thoughts that you're thinking and the perception that you have. So we're all walking around projecting our own understanding of the world, our own understanding of each other, our own experiences, our own beliefs about what's possible and what certain things can do or can't do for us. So like it's literally our own personal experience that we're spreading out into the world, which is why it's so important to gain control of those thoughts and that perception and make it work for you instead of against you, turning it into the positive, the empowering, the hopeful, the loving, instead of like the negative, the disempowering, the doubtful, and the fearful, right? You want to make that switch. We want to make that switch. So today's practice, as usual, is to spend a few times, so maybe 3 to 4 times throughout the day, you're going to say, I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. It could be like, I do not see a neutral window because my thoughts about windows are not neutral. And that sounds so simple, and it might just sound like wordy or silly or basic. I don't know. You might have a lot of judgments and reactions to it at first because you're kind of questioning your thoughts, and it sounds very basic, like to question that, right? What does it matter about the window? But I do not see a neutral window because my thoughts about windows aren't neutral. All that means is like the second I look at a window, immediately my subconscious mind is understanding, it's filtering, it's creating, it's bringing old experiences, it's bringing previous knowledge, right? It's bringing all these things like out of the computer files and into the forefront of this is a window, this is what it does. I'm going to label it as good or bad, or I'm going to label it for its practicality or anything like that. So that's not neutral. And that's kind of the basis of this lesson, is just realizing that no matter what you're looking at. This could be looking at a family member. No matter how hard you try, your thoughts aren't going to be neutral, and you're not going to see them in a neutral way because of the perceptions that you have, or the beliefs, or the projections, right? So I do not see a neutral family member. I do not see a neutral coworker, because my thoughts about this person are not neutral, right? Because I'm automatically, even no matter how hard you try, no matter how aware you are still projecting and pulling past experiences onto that person. So for instance, if like a friend hurt you in the past and you see them now, chances are subconsciously you're still pulling some of those old experiences. You maybe have a little bit more trust issues, or you're a little bit unsure of them. Maybe you're like, afraid they're going to say something again, or whatever the case was from the last time, but you're not seeing them in a neutral light because you are carrying those past experiences onto them. You might be carrying past experiences from other hurts, other traumas, other pains, and continuing to put that onto someone else as well, even though it had nothing to do with them. This is why we're understanding that there's no neutrality. There's no 0 point. Right? There's just, it's not possible, because we're constantly bringing things with us. And so with this practice, I would say like the biggest thing is to understand there's no distinctions between what you think is pleasant or unpleasant, like worthy of doing this exercise towards or not. Like it can be a wall, it can be a teacup, it can be really basic things that you're doing this for. There's no right or wrong. It's about the awareness. It's about uncovering this and then using this. So if you understand that you have no neutral thoughts and you see no neutral things, then this allows you to use a lot more discernment in the future when you're going about your day-to-day life. So when I feel triggered by someone, for instance, I have a way better awareness now of how to handle it and how to look at, wait a minute, how many of my past experiences am I bringing into this situation as well? And how much of it is just about the situation at hand? How can I kind of clear out, try to make the slate a little bit more clean and more neutral for just this situation, of just this moment, just this one thing that happened, so that I can show up my best instead of bringing like past baggage forward, right? So I think a lot of this lesson comes back to the fact that the more awareness we have over our own thoughts, perceptions, and reality, the better equipped we are to handle what life throws at us, and the more responsible, the more mature, the more loving we can choose to react in these situations. So, I mean, I actually just focused on the negative for most of this video, whereas there are things you're going to naturally see in a very, very positive light. And so those you're also not seeing as a neutral thing, because maybe you're putting it on a pedestal, or maybe it's something you like idolize or really, really look up to, or respect or revere. And so that also means that it's not neutral, right? So just having the awareness that you do not see neutral things because you don't have neutral thoughts, so they go hand in hand. So that is today's lesson. I hope it makes sense sometimes, because these can be wordy, and sometimes I'm like, is this going to be like too basic that people aren't going to be interested in trying it? Or is this going to be enough that they're going to be like, oh, let me think about it, I'll give it a shot. So please, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you on the next video.